Dad's silent revenge.
Dad, Beverly did this to me. Those 6 words changed everything. My daughter Casey was lying in a hospital bed, machines beeping all around her, barely able to whisper, and I knew right then that someone was going to pay. My name is Travis Turner. I'm 58 years old, and I spent 30 years as a detective before going private. I thought I'd seen it all: murders, robberies, domestic violence, corporate fraud, but nothing prepared me for what my own daughter's mother-in-law was capable of. Let me back up so you understand how we got here. Casey is 32, smart as a whip, works as a financial analyst downtown. 3 years ago, she married Kyle Mason, and honestly, he seemed like a decent enough kid. Weak as water, but decent. The problem was his mother. Beverly Mason runs this big charity foundation called Hope for Tomorrow. On the surface, she's the perfect socialite, always in the society pages, hosting fundraisers, giving speeches about helping underprivileged kids. But from the moment Casey brought Kyle home to meet us, Beverly made it crystal clear that our family wasn't good enough for her precious son. See, I'm what you'd call working class through and through. Raised Casey on my own after her mom died when she was 12 minus cancer took Linda fast and hard. We lived in a modest 2-bedroom house on Maple Street, drove used cars that I kept running with my own hands, and every dollar Casey got for college came from scholarships and her part-time job at the diner. Casey worked her tail off to get where she is. Graduated summa cum laude, got herself a good job, made something of herself. But to Beverly Mason, none of that mattered. We didn't have old money like the Masons. We didn't summer in the Hamptons or belong to the country club. In Beverly's mind, that made us trash. The first time I met her was at Casey's engagement party. Beverly looked me up and down like I was something she'd scrape off her shoe, then spent the entire evening making little comments. Oh, you're a policeman. How? Interesting. Casey, dear, you'll have to learn about wine now that you're joining a proper family. That kind of garbage. I bit my tongue for Casey's sake. My daughter was happy, and Kyle did seem to love her even if he never stood up to his mother. But I could see the hurt in Casey's eyes every time Beverly took one of her little shots. The call came on a Tuesday morning in October. I was in my office going through case files when my phone rang. Kyle's voice was shaking so bad I could barely understand him. Mr. Turner, there's been an accident. Casey's car went off the road near Riverside Drive. She's at Memorial Hospital, and it's really bad. I dropped everything and drove like hell to get there. Memorial Hospital is about 20 minutes from my office, but I made it in 12. The emergency room was chaos, nurses rushing around, monitors beeping, that antiseptic smell that takes you right back to the worst days of your life. When I saw my daughter hooked up to those machines, something twisted hard in my gut. Casey had a concussion, 3 broken ribs, and her left arm was shattered from the elbow down. There were cuts all over her face from broken glass, and her right eye was swollen shut. But she was conscious, and when she saw me, her good eye filled with tears. Dad, she whispered, gripping my hand with her uninjured one. It wasn't an accident. I pulled a chair up close to her bed. What do you mean, sweetheart? Beverly did this to me. Her voice was so weak I had to lean in to hear her. I found something at her office yesterday. Documents showing she's been stealing from the charity. Millions of dollars, Dad. My blood went cold. What kind of documents? Casey closed her eyes for a moment, like she was gathering strength. Financial records. Bank transfers. She's been creating fake consulting companies, paying them huge fees for services that don't exist, then funneling the money into offshore accounts. I felt that familiar detective instinct kick in, the one that had solved hundreds of cases over 3 decades. How did you find this? Kyle asked me to help prepare the foundation's annual report, said his mom needed someone with my financial background to make the numbers look good for donors. Casey's voice got stronger as she talked, anger giving her energy. When I started going through the books, I noticed these huge payments to companies I'd never heard of. Patterson Consulting, Reynolds Analytics, Murphy & Associates. You checked them out? Of course I did. They're all shell companies, Dad. Fake addresses, no employees, no actual services provided. Just ways to move money around without raising red flags. Casey shifted in the bed, wincing from the pain in her ribs. When I confronted Beverly about it yesterday, she went absolutely crazy. Started screaming about how I was trying to destroy her family's reputation, how I never should have married Kyle in the first place. Then what happened? She calmed down suddenly, got all sweet and apologetic, said she could explain everything, but it was complicated and we needed to discuss it privately. Suggested we take a drive up to Riverside Drive where the foundation was thinking about buying some property. Riverside Drive, that's where they found her car, wrapped around a tree at the bottom of a 30-foot embankment. We drove up there in her SUV. Casey continued. When we got out to look at this empty lot, I turned around and she was holding a tire iron. I barely had time to register what was happening before she swung it at my head. The machines around Casey's bed seemed to beep louder as my heart rate spiked. "She tried to kill you. She kept hitting me, Dad." Over and over. Kept saying I was trying to ruin everything. That people like us didn't understand how the world really works. Casey's voice broke. She put me in my car and pushed it down the hill. Left me there to die. I stood up, pacing the small room like a caged animal. 30 years of police work had taught me to control my emotions. But this was my daughter, my little girl who used to climb on my lap and ask me to read her stories. Someone had tried to murder her, and that someone was going to pay Casey. "Did you get copies of those documents?" She nodded slightly on my phone. "Hidden in a folder labeled Kyle's birthday plans so Beverly wouldn't find them if she looked. Where's your phone now?" "In my purse." The nurses put it in the closet there. I retrieved her phone and scrolled through until I found the folder. What I saw made my hands shake with rage. Bank transfers totaling millions of dollars, fake invoices, email conversations about moving the Patterson money and cleaning up the Reynolds situation. Beverly Mason had been running a sophisticated fraud operation for years, stealing money meant for sick kids and homeless families. And when my daughter accidentally stumbled onto it, Beverly had tried to commit murder to keep her secret safe. That's when I knew Beverly Mason had made the biggest mistake of her life. She'd hurt a Turner, and we don't let that slide ever. I called my brother Tyler Brooks that night. Tyler's 55, 2 years younger than me. But in some ways, he's always been the smarter one. While I was walking a beat and working my way up through the police department, Tyler went into government security work. Spent 15 years with various agencies that he still won't talk about, then started his own private security firm. If anyone could help me nail Beverly Mason without getting my hands dirty, it was Tyler. We met at Flanagan's Pub on 3rd Street, our usual spot when we need to talk serious business. Tyler was already there when I arrived, nursing a beer and looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. That's Tyler for you. He loves his family, but he hates drama. "Let me guess," he said before I even sat down. "This is about Casey's accident." I filled him in on everything Casey had told me, showing him the photos from her phone. Tyler studied them like he was reading a technical manual, which in a way I guess he was. "This is sophisticated," he said after a few minutes. "Whoever set this up knows how to move money without triggering federal reporting requirements. Look at these amounts, always just under the $10,000 threshold." You thinking what I'm thinking, Tyler took a long sip of his beer, that this wasn't Beverly's first rodeo. "Yeah. People don't just wake up one day and decide to steal millions from charity. This took years to set up." He pulled out his phone and started typing. "I've got contacts who can run deep background checks on Beverly and her whole operation. Financial, medical, legal records, the whole 9 yards. If you want to take down a rich socialite, you better have bulletproof evidence." "What's this going to cost me?" "Family rate," Tyler said with a grin. "Meaning it's free, but you owe me dinner for the next 6 months." Over the next 3 days while Casey recovered in the hospital, Tyler and I dug into Beverly Mason's life like we were excavating a crime scene. What we found made my blood boil all over again. First, the charity fraud was even bigger than Casey had discovered. Tyler's financial guy traced the shell companies back 7 years. Beverly had been skimming money almost from the day she took over the foundation, to the tune of about $8.2 million total, but that wasn't the worst part. Tyler's contact at the county medical examiner's office, don't ask me how he knows these people, found something that made me want to put my fist through a wall. 2 years ago, Casey had been pregnant with her first child. She'd been so excited, calling me every day with updates about the baby's development. Then in her second trimester, she miscarried. The doctor said it was natural, just one of those tragic things that happen. Except it wasn't natural at all. "Travis," Tyler said, showing me the lab results from Casey's miscarriage. "Look at these toxicology reports." The medical records showed elevated levels of a drug called misoprostol in Casey's system. I'd never heard of it, but Tyler's research showed it was commonly used to induce miscarriages. "This drug doesn't just show up in someone's system," Tyler explained. "It has to be administered deliberately, usually in food or drink." I stared at those papers, feeling something dark and cold settle in my chest. Beverly Mason hadn't just tried to kill my daughter, she'd already killed my grandchild. "We need more than medical records," I said. "We need her to admit it." That's when Tyler suggested something that would have gotten us both fired back in our law enforcement days, but was perfectly legal for private investigators. "We're going to wire you up and get you a face-to-face with Beverly. Make her think you know more than you do and let her dig her own grave." The plan was simple, but risky. I'd request a meeting with Beverly, ostensibly to discuss Casey's medical bills and the accident. Tyler would wire me with a digital recorder, military grade, undetectable by standard security sweeps. All I had to do was get Beverly talking. "You sure you can handle this?" Tyler asked as he fitted the wire under my shirt. We were in his office downtown, and the equipment looked like something out of a spy movie. "I've been interrogating suspects for 30 years, I said. "I think I can handle one guilty socialite. This isn't some street punk, Travis." "Beverly Mason is intelligent, well-connected, and she's already tried to commit murder once. If she figures out what you're doing." "She won't," I said, but honestly, I wasn't as confident as I sounded. Beverly had fooled an entire city for 7 years. She wasn't going to be easy to crack. The meeting was set for Friday afternoon at Beverly's office downtown. The Hope for Tomorrow Foundation occupied an entire floor of the Riverside Tower, all marble and mahogany, designed to impress wealthy donors. The lobby had photographs of Beverly with senators, governors, and celebrities, all of them smiling and shaking hands at various charity events. Beverly's personal office looked like something out of a magazine: Persian rugs, antique furniture, and oil paintings that probably cost more than I made in a year. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, you could see the whole city spread out below. Beverly was waiting for me, dressed in one of those expensive suits that rich women wear to look important. She was 63, silver-haired, with the kind of artificial smile that comes from decades of practice. "Travis," she said, rising from behind her desk, "thank you for coming. Please, sit down." I took the chair across from her, feeling the wire warm against my chest. "Thanks for agreeing to meet with me, Beverly." "Of course. Kyle is family now, which makes Casey family too." Her voice was smooth as silk, but there was something cold behind her eyes. "How is she recovering?" "Slowly. The doctors say she'll need months of physical therapy to get full use of her arm back." Beverly made appropriate sympathetic noises. Such a terrible accident. Thank goodness Kyle wasn't with her when it happened. "Funny thing about that accident," I said, leaning forward slightly. "Casey remembers some strange details." Beverly's smile faltered just a fraction. Memory can be unreliable after head trauma. "The doctors mentioned she might have some confusion about events. She remembers finding some interesting documents before the accident, financial records from the foundation. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Beverly stood up and walked to the window, her back to me. "Casey has always been prone to misunderstanding complex financial arrangements," she said carefully. "The foundation operates within very specific legal parameters that can be confusing to outsiders. Cut the crap, Beverly." I used the voice I'd developed interrogating suspects for 3 decades. I know about Patterson Consulting, I know about Reynolds Analytics, and I know about the $8 $2 million you've stolen from sick kids. She turned around slowly, and for the first time I saw the real Beverly Mason, not the polished socialite, but the cold-blooded criminal underneath. "You're being ridiculous," Beverly said, but her voice had lost that smooth confidence. "Casey's accident was tragic, but these wild accusations—" "What about the first time?" I interrupted. 2 years ago, when you murdered my grandchild. The effect was immediate. Beverly's face went white as paper, and she gripped the back of her chair like she might fall over. "I don't know what you're talking about," she whispered. "Misoprostol," I said, standing up and walking toward her. "That's what the medical examiner found in Casey's blood after her miscarriage. Funny thing about that drug, it doesn't occur naturally. Someone has to slip it to you." Beverly's carefully constructed mask was cracking. I could see the panic in her eyes, the same look I'd seen on 100 guilty suspects over the years. "You killed an innocent baby because you didn't think my daughter was good enough for your family. That little brat would have ruined everything." The words exploded out of her before she could stop them. "Kyle was never supposed to have children with someone like her. Someone from your kind of family." There it was, the admission Tyler and I needed caught on digital recording. I kept pressing, "So you poisoned her." Beverly was completely unraveling now, years of suppressed hatred pouring out. "Do you know what it's like to build a reputation, a legacy, only to watch it get destroyed by some nobody's daughter? Casey was supposed to be temporary. Kyle was supposed to come to his senses and find someone appropriate. Someone with money, you mean? Someone with breeding. Someone who understands how society works." Beverly's voice was getting shrill, but no, he had to fall in love with Little Miss Working Class Hero, and then she got pregnant, and I knew I had to act. "So you slipped her the drug that caused the miscarriage. I gave her something to help her lose the baby." "Yes. For the good of the family. For Kyle's future." Beverly was pacing now like a caged animal. She was devastated, of course, but I thought that would be the end of it. I thought she'd realize she didn't belong with us and leave, but she didn't. No, she didn't. She got pregnant again, and this time she started snooping around my business, asking questions about foundation finances, wanting to help with the annual report. Beverly's laugh was bitter help. As if some small-town accountant could understand the complexities of managing a major charitable organization. I took another step closer. So when she found the evidence of your theft, you decided to kill her? I decided to protect everything I'd worked for, Beverly shouted. Do you have any idea how much money flows through this foundation? How many important people depend on our work? Casey was going to destroy it all with her ignorant meddling, so you lured her to Riverside Drive and beat her with a tire iron. Beverly's face twisted with something ugly. She wouldn't listen to reason. I tried to explain that some things are bigger than individual concerns, that the foundation does important work even if the methods are flexible. But she kept threatening to go to the authorities. Because you're a thief and a murderer. I'm a pragmatist. Beverly slammed her hand on the desk. You people never understand. Money isn't just money when you're operating at this level. It's influence, it's power, it's the ability to make things happen. Things like covering up your crimes, things like maintaining order, keeping people in their proper places. Beverly's voice dropped to a venomous whisper. Your daughter was never supposed to rise above her station, neither were you. But somehow you both forgot your place, and now look what's happened. I pulled out my phone and hit stop on the recording app. Beverly, you just confessed to charity fraud, murder, and attempted murder on tape. Her eyes widened as she realized what she'd done. You recorded this, every word. And in about 5 minutes, my brother is going to walk into the FBI field office downtown and hand them a very interesting package. Beverly sank into her chair like someone had cut her strings. My husband will never let this go to trial. The Mason family has too much influence in this city. Richard Mason is a businessman first, I said. And speaking of Richard, does he know about your relationship with Lance Murphy? Beverly's face went from white to gray. How did you hotel records, credit card receipts, photos? Tyler had been thorough. Turns out some of that charity money went to finance your affair. Nice condo on Riverside, expensive trips to Miami. Richard's going to love hearing about that. You don't understand what you're doing, Beverly whispered. If this comes out, it won't just destroy me. The foundation helps thousands of people. The publicity alone will. The foundation will survive under new management. The money you stole will be returned to the people who need it, and you'll be exactly where you belong. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Beverly, my daughter is filing for divorce from Kyle. She's also getting a restraining order against you. If you ever come near her or my granddaughter again, prison will be the least of your worries. Beverly was staring out the window when I left, probably watching her whole world collapse in real time. The FBI arrested Beverly Mason 3 days later at her home on Hillcrest Drive. I wasn't there to see it, but Tyler heard from his contacts that she didn't go quietly. Apparently, she screamed about police harassment and demanded to call her lawyer right up until they put her in handcuffs. The charges were impressive: charity fraud, attempted murder, conspiracy, money laundering, and tax evasion. The local news had a field day with it. Socialite charity queen exposed as fraud and would-be killer was the headline in the morning paper. By evening, it was the lead story on every local TV station. Richard Mason, true to form, immediately filed for divorce and cooperated fully with the investigation. Turns out he'd suspected something was wrong with the foundation's finances for months. But Beverly had always deflected his questions. When the FBI showed him the evidence of her affair with Lance Murphy, he didn't hesitate to throw her under the bus. I won't be made a fool of by my own wife, he told reporters outside his lawyer's office. The Mason family name stands for integrity and community service. Beverly's actions are a betrayal of everything we represent. Kyle took the news about as well as you'd expect. The kid fell apart completely when he learned what his mother had done. Casey told me he came to the hospital crying, begging her forgiveness and promising he'd never known about any of it. I believe he's telling the truth, Casey said when I asked her about it. Kyle's a lot of things, but he's not evil like his mother. He's just weak. Casey filed for divorce anyway. I can't be married to someone who won't stand up to his family, she explained. What if Beverly had succeeded? What if she'd killed me and Riley? Would Kyle have just accepted whatever story she told him? Riley. That was what Casey decided to name the baby she was carrying, another granddaughter I was determined to protect. The doctor said Casey's injuries wouldn't affect the pregnancy, but we all held our breath until Riley was born 6 months later, healthy and perfect. The trial took 8 months to get to court. Beverly hired the best lawyers money could buy, but they couldn't overcome the mountain of evidence Tyler and I had gathered. The recording of her confession was played for the jury 3 times. You could see the shock on their faces when they heard Beverly admit to poisoning Casey and trying to murder her. The charity fraud evidence was even more damning. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit traced every dollar Beverly had stolen over 7 years. Shell companies, offshore accounts, fake invoices. The whole operation was laid bare for the jury to see. Beverly's lawyers tried to paint her as a stressed executive who'd made some poor financial decisions. But the attempted murder charge killed any sympathy the jury might have had. When Beverly took the stand in her own defense, she came across as cold and arrogant, exactly the kind of privileged criminal juries love to convict. The verdict was guilty on all counts. Beverly got 15 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole for the first 10. She'll be 78 when she gets out, if she lives that long. Richard kept his word about taking care of Casey and Riley. He set up a $2 million settlement minus compensation for the pain and suffering caused by my former wife, as he put it. He also established a trust fund for Riley's education that'll cover college and graduate school if she wants it. The best part? Beverly's charity fraud trial exposed a whole network of similar scams around the state. The FBI investigation led to 3 other fake charities being shut down and millions of dollars being recovered and returned to legitimate causes helping sick kids and homeless families. I went back to my private investigation business with a new specialty: financial fraud cases. Turns out there's good money in catching rich people who think they're too smart to get caught. Tyler and I have worked a dozen cases since then, and we've gotten pretty good at it. Casey recovered completely, though it took months of physical therapy to get full use of her arm back. She went back to work as a financial analyst, but now she specializes in charity audits. She says she wants to make sure no other Beverly Masons slip through the cracks. Riley was born in April, a beautiful little girl with Casey's eyes and what I hope is the Turner family stubborn streak. She's 18 months old now, walking everywhere and getting into everything, just like her mother did at that age. Every Sunday we have dinner together at my house, me, Casey, Riley, and Tyler. Sometimes Richard joins us. He turned out to be a decent guy once he got rid of Beverly. He adores his granddaughter and has been a surprisingly good presence in Riley's life. You know, Casey said last Sunday, watching Riley play with the wooden blocks Tyler brought her, I never thought I'd be grateful for what Beverly did to us. But in a weird way, it brought our family closer together. She was right. Going through that nightmare showed us what really matters. Not money or social status or what other people think. Family, loyalty, standing up for the people you love when they can't stand up for themselves. Looking back, I realized Beverly Mason made one crucial mistake. She underestimated what a working-class father would do to protect his family. She thought her money and connections made her untouchable. She was wrong. The Turner family might not have old money or social connections, but we have something Beverly never had: integrity, determination, and the skills to back it up. When you mess with one Turner, you mess with all of us. Beverly learned that lesson the hard way. And every time I hold my granddaughter Riley, I'm reminded that sometimes justice isn't just served, it's served exactly the way it should be, with family standing together and the truth winning out in the end. That's the Turner way. Always has been, always will be. Money can buy you lawyers and connections, but it can't buy you honor. And when push comes to shove, honor always wins. They say blood is thicker than water, but I learned something that day. Family loyalty built on love and respect is stronger than any fortune built on lies.